with networking, I think that's the key is, there's groups, right? And yeah, finding your community, it could be a religious thing, it could be a sports, and finding your thing. Because these people are crazy, just like me, risk takers, just like me. These people are people who live their days to the fullest, who travel, who like to try new things, who like to try new food. I'm like, oh my God, these are the psychos that need to be in my life because they're just like me. And when I'm with them, I'm not with them because I want their business. I'm with them because I enjoy spending time with them. And as I get older, I'm learning from all of them.
The Love and Order Podcast with your host, LawyerLimor.
This podcast is for entertainment purposes only. The opinions expressed on this podcast are not legal advice that can be relied on. They are based solely on the limited information provided. These opinions do not create any attorney-client relationship. Those seeking legal advice should contact an attorney in the appropriate jurisdiction and practice area.
Hello, and we're back with Love and Order. And let me just say, before I introduce our guest, who is the hottest, sexiest, smartest realtor in LA, Ivan Estrada, I need to tell you that Ivan makes me so nervous, okay? Because I sat down to start recording with Ivan, and I looked at the picture that I usually have, the artwork that I have behind me. If you're watching on YouTube, you know, same piece of art I always have on the wall every time I'm recording. And because I wanted to sit a little bit higher, so Ivan wouldn't say, like, where's your cleavage? Where's your necklace? Where's your this? I slammed the back of my chair to the artwork, and it is now non-existent, but my command strips are there. Hi, Ivan. Thanks for that. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? I love that story, by the way, like so much.
Ivan, it's because you were coming on. And if you're on YouTube, please just look at Ivan. Look at his hair. Look at his house. One word that always comes to mind when I think about you, Ivan, is just opulence.
I like that word. You know what? When I used to when I was a kid, my parents used to take us to Caesar's Palace all the time. We were poor, but not that poor, so we were able to afford like a regular room at Caesar's Palace. And I remember that word opulence, and I love it because I tried to make my room look like Caesar's Palace with like home stuff and Ross. And that word always keeps popping up in my life, so I'll take it. I'll definitely take opulent.
Oh my God. Caesar's Palace, for those who don't know, is a hotel in Las Vegas that is literally themed after Caesar, right? The god Caesar.
It's like
columns and
like it's very, I mean, would you call it? I mean, it's opulent. Yet it's new but old. It smells like tobacco and money. So it's a very unique place. I mean, it's my childhood.
You know what? I'm not surprised because my childhood was also Las Vegas and the Beverly Center. That was my childhood.
Oh, my childhood was Vegas and Chuck E. Cheese. We didn't have enough money for the Beverly Center, honey. So your parents were doing well then.
You're telling me, Ivan, that you've had pizza before?
I have had pizza. I do eat pizza on special occasions. No, you know what? I'm actually having pizza tonight. I'm going on a date tonight. So dates and weekends, I'm all like just
ooh.
I will eat whatever it takes and whatever I want. And then I'll go back to my regular starving season. I mean, it's almost summer, right? We live in LA. So it's like just breathing in has calories, right? You're supposed to take very short breaths. Don't take it all in, just a little piece at a time.
I love this because Ivan and I met in a networking group. And I feel like when we saw each other, we were like, we need to be friends because we're both professionals, but we still have a life outside of that. And we're, I humbly say, we are both very good at networking. I don't necessarily love networking, and I want to talk to you about that, but we're very good at our professional lives. And I think we both understand social media. I know you do to an extent that most people do not. So Ivan is the number one everything in real estate in LA. You're part of the Douglas Elliman group, but you have your own group, right? That's how it works, right?
Yeah.
So you have your own group. Yeah. And so from there, you've also branched out and you have this whole brand called Brand With. You have a podcast, your book, your class, your course. You've done a TED Talk. You've done all these amazing things. And, when people watch, what is it called? $1 Million Listing, right? When they watch those shows, I'm always sitting there laughing because I know that you work with some of them. I believe like the Altman brothers are Douglas Elliman, right? And there are others probably.
AC, Josh Flagg, Frederick Eklund. I mean, we've got the
Oh,
whole
it's everyone? Is everyone
everyone
from?
in the office. Yeah.
But when I met Ivan, I was like, wait, this is the real $1 Million Listing star. You are just the epitome of, when people think of LA, it's you. That's what I think. But tell us so you grew up in Chuck E. Cheese, but tell us about the trajectory
I
of
grew
your.
up in the pulpit. Well, before I even start, Limor, I just have to say, girl, you have really blown up. Like, I am so proud of you because not only are you a powerful woman in law, but you've really been able to leverage social media, your brand, your voice. Like, girl, you've got a voice and people are listening. So I just want to tell you, like, I am so humbled to be part of your show. I am so proud of everything that you're doing and everyone that you're giving a voice to. So before I talk about me, I just wanted to say that because I'm proud of you and you're doing
I
great
love
things.
you. I
You're
love
doing
you.
great.
Ivan and I have had therapy sessions together at Soho House, so that means a lot. I love you.
It's always better when it's at Soho House. So my childhood, yeah. So Chuck E. Cheese was a big part of it. So I grew up here in LA. Mom and dad are from Mexico. They immigrated here in their young 20s. I grew up in a place on Eagle Rock, so it's like near Pasadena, La Cunada, that area. Pretty humble beginnings. My dad was a janitor at a school. My mom worked at a factory. They just really taught me the importance of hard work, good ethic, treat people with respect. Everything is possible. And, everything that I've got in my life now, like I thank them for it, because I think, Limor, like I think you get this, and a lot of people in LA get this, and not just in LA, but I think in this country whose parents are immigrants, right? They gave up everything that they knew to make a difference for our lives, right? For my life, for my sister's life. And I wanted to make sure that I didn't let them down, right? And that was my biggest thing. I want to make sure that I make them proud. And, I tell my mom, even though I know she is, I see her every Sunday. We have dinner with mom, dad, and my sister. And I always ask her, are you proud? And even though I know she is, it's always nice to hear her say, of course I am. I'm always proud of my son. And I think, growing up with as little as we did, those things that I learned early on in my career, that's what's made me successful today. Like, that's what the book is about. That's what my TED Talk is about. That's what I advocate in my life, right? Because I feel like I'm only as strong as my foundation is, and they're the ones who gave me the foundation. And I just want to make sure, when I pass and when I move on, if I have kids or if I don't have kids, I got this adorable little nephew that I can pass this on to someone else who may not have had role models like the ones that I had. Because let me tell you, my mom and dad were badass role models.
I love that. I love that. And your nephew really is gorgeous. Your whole family, I've seen pictures of all of them. And it really is, it really is crazy to think, because if someone asked you if you would get up and leave everything to go to some country where you don't speak the language, to do some work that you're not experienced in. Some people were doctors and lawyers in their countries, came here and they were the janitors. They were the taxi cab drivers, right? And it's crazy because now you see people and they're so entitled. They go to countries where they don't know the language and they're upset that other people don't speak English, right? And it's like, wow, our parents gave up so much more than many of us are willing to even give up now.
Yeah, absolutely. And like what you just said, I hear that a lot because I love to travel. Look, don't get me wrong, I love a nice Four Seasons and a St. Regis, somewhere tropical, but I also love going to third world country. I mean, I go to Mexico a lot. I was in Egypt, in Thailand. I mean, you go to these countries and you see how people live, and you realize, like, at the end of the day, you know, they have probably less problems than what we have, right? Here living in a first world country, because, you know, they're all about the importance of life, right? Enjoying life. They don't care about what other people think. They don't care about what other people say. Like, some of the happiest people I met were some people that I met in Egypt, right? That were like kids dancing in the streets. I was like, what is this? This is like the Egyptian musical. Like, this is insane. Like, everyone is so happy. And yeah, I mean, you know, I'm not going to get into it, but, you know, there's a lot of entitlement here and there. And I think a lot of that has to go away. Humility goes a long way, you know? And I think when you go to some of these countries, there's so many different things that I've been able to process is be grateful for what you've got, right? Because you got a lot. You got a lot more than most of these people. And sometimes I complain about the stupidest shit, right?
Yeah.
And two, it's like, it all goes down to basics, right? It all goes down to basics of love and gratitude and knowing where you come from. And these are some of the proudest people I've met, right? Because I think when you're proud of who you are and where you come from, which is a lot of these people live in these third world countries who are like diehard fans for their country, for their people, for their food, for their culture. They're the happiest people I know. And some of the most unhappiest people I know are the people who are not cool with that, right? How funny is that?
Yep. It's crazy. It's so crazy to see that in people. It's you know, and we see that, yeah, you're right. We see that all the time in LA. We see it all the time. So how did you get into real estate, and how did you, within that career, become the person that you are in the industry?
So it was all kind of a fluke. I went to school at USC, undergrad for finance and accounting. I worked at an accounting firm in downtown for a couple of years, and I got my CPA. I did everything you were supposed to do, right? Go to college, get a great job, and start kind of moving up the ranks. I just knew right off the bat, this wasn't for me. But I also realized, hey, you got it. You have bills to pay. You have debt to pay. You got to do what you got to do, right? Like, it doesn't matter how you feel and that it's not your thing. You just got to keep going, which obviously is not the way to live life. And I did it until I just couldn't anymore. Like, it was almost 4 years, and I am like the happiest person ever, no matter the circumstance, no matter what's happening outside of my world. But I wasn't diagnosed, but I can almost assure you I was going into a depression, a deep depression, because I wasn't living like my true best self. And I was actually dating someone at the time who said, hey, I saw season 1. This was season 1 of $1 Million Listing. Why don't you become a real estate agent? I was like, no, you gotta be kidding me. Like, in my mind, I was like, oh, like, my mom's friends were real estate agents from school, and they sell, you know, they have cupcakes and balloons, and yeah, that's not a job. And also being, I think at the time, very uneducated, where, you know, all my mom friends who were in real estate were women, right? And so I thought, well, maybe it's just a job for women, not for men, right? And I know it's horrible for me to say, but that's all I saw growing up. I never saw men in the real estate business. Yeah. And so I, you know, as I started doing my research on it, and I figured out, you know what? As a kid, I was in the entertainment industry. So I'm good in front of a camera. I'm good with people. I have a finance degree and an accounting degree and a CPA license. And I was born and raised in LA. I know a lot of people. And going to USC, they build you into a machine of a networker. And I thought, wait, this is like the perfect formula to become a mega agent in this business. And so I think I was in so much desperation for change. And the only thing that was holding me back was fear of what my parents were going to think. Because remember what I said before, I wanted to make them proud. Going to college and graduating made them proud. Getting a job at a top accounting firm in downtown made them proud. Getting my CPA license made them proud. I thought, if I leave this job and go into real estate, they're not going to be proud. And they weren't. I mean, they weren't upset, but they were worried. They were like, what do you mean? You went to college, you got into USC, 2 degrees, we helped you with whatever we could. You did the whole thing. And now you're going to throw all that away and go into real estate when you probably could have done it outside of high school? Like, why would you do that? And I get their mindset behind it, but when you talk about what makes you successful, like what made me successful, it was all those things. All those things what were the things that were building my brand along the way. They were it wasn't getting it's not just having the license of a CPA or having USC behind my name. It's who I became when I was in the progress of getting those things, right? I learned hard work and dedication. I didn't pass my CPA license right away. It taught me to keep going, right? All the things that I learned, including I was a server for about 2 years after I left the accounting firm to make ends meet, because in real estate, the first 3 to 4 years, like it's a struggle, no matter where you come from, no matter what connections you have, unless you're my friend Josh Flagg. I mean, love you, Josh.
It's that grandma. It was that grandma.
Yeah, money. But it was all those things combined were the things that really gave me my edge, right? And Limor, like think about everything that you've done. Like you doing this podcast and you doing what you do is giving you your edge. It's what's making you relatable. It's what's making you like the outlier of your industry. Because I don't know anyone else who does what you do, right? Because I know a lot of attorneys who are family law attorneys. I don't think they could hold a freaking candle to you because of the things that you do and who you've become doing them, right? And so for me in the real estate business was I had all these skills that I had acquired that I knew if I played my cards right, if I had patience, because it didn't matter that I had all the tools, like I wasn't successful right away. I had to literally be patient, know that there was a light at the end of the tunnel, and also know there's nothing else I want to do. Like real estate is my end all be all. Like I am burning the boats. I am leaving it all behind. Anytime anyone would say, you can always go back to accounting, that gave me more fire to be like, I'll show you. I'm never going back to accounting. That was like the biggest thing. I'm like, nope, you're never going to see me go back to that, And so it was all of those skills that I acquired during these challenging times is, hey, graduating, getting the job, CPA. I mean, you took the bar, like all that is tough, right? And even when you get it, that's when the real work begins, right? It's not just having your law degree, it's setting up your brand, getting that book of business, doing good at what you're doing, right? As you start making more money, making sure that your ethics are on point, right? That you don't screw up because now you're doing really well and maybe a lot of people aren't watching anymore. Maybe I can do a couple of things here and there to kind of get me to where I want to go a lot faster, right? That may not be as, let's say, kosher. But it was believing in myself and knowing that there was nothing else I wanted to do, and knowing what made me special. And those were the things that made me special. And I made sure that in every marketing material, every conversation, every video that I did, because I was one of the first agents to do real estate video ever, almost 15 years ago now. And knowing that made me special, and and I wanted people to really get that and connect with me on that level. And, took 4 or 5 years, and then all of a sudden it was that perfect storm. I kept planting seeds everywhere I could, watering, adding a little bit of, some secret sauce here and there, and then poof, it just went.
Wow. You really, you really, really are special. And when you talk about this, when you talk about the industry, it's very apparent that you're right where you are supposed to be. And you are a trailblazer in your industry too, because you're right. I didn't know any realtors who did videos until I met you. And
even now, it's not that very common. I mean, that's why I took the course, because I'm doing it.
Right. And your videos from the start have been high production value, very, very valuable content. interesting facts. They're fun. They're engaging. You want to look at you want to look at these houses. Everything is just so perfect. So when you told me you were releasing the course, which by the way, it's out now, right? Or no, not yet.
Oh, yeah. And
It's been out.
yeah, it's out. It's about, I mean, it's a 15 module intensive. I tell people, look, this isn't an easy course. I've had people like compare it to like a college course because there's a lot of work involved.
Yeah.
But I tell people, look, if you want big results, it takes massive action. And watching a course on video and taking notes is not going to do it. You have to put your money where your mouth is. You have to put in the work. And the course is not just for real estate. It's for any entrepreneur, anyone who's in business, anyone who wants to build a brand and also use video of either themselves or their products to get their business to the next level and have a whole blueprint. It's called Brand with Video by Estrada. And honestly, it's everything I've learned in the last 14, 15 years in one course, which is about like a 2-week course if you take it, assuming you take one course a day, one module a day.
Yeah, I think I went through the course before it was released, and I love the way that it's separated because from what I remember, there's 4 phases, right? And the most interesting to me, even before I clicked on anything, was you have like a mental preparedness section or something about, just getting your mental game in check, knowing that you're about to embark on this marketing strategy that, it's everything everyone sees is the end result of all the work that you've done, right? So when I saw that as part of the 4 phases, I knew, oh my God, Ivan knows what the fuck he's doing. He's not just, one of these people who's like, I'm going to make a course so I can sell product.
I mean, like the most important thing is getting yourself mentally prepared, right? In order to do it. Because I mean, in anything, not just like videos, right? But like anything that you want to do and achieve. If you're going to go on a diet because you want that killer summer body, or you want to go to law school or pass your bar exam, right? You have to mentally prepare yourself on what is about to come, right? Like knowing that it's not easy, because if it was easy, anyone else would do it. Knowing exactly what your own roadblocks are. That's why I say, which are your mental blocks? And let's do a fear analysis together. Like, what are you afraid of here? And let's figure out where this is stemming from so that we can put a kibosh on that, because I can teach you all the stuff. I can give you all the plans. I can give you all the ideas. But if your mind is not in the right place of being a killer and just going for it, and even when things aren't going well, people are not watching your videos or you're not getting the engagement that you want right off the bat, that you're going to keep going, right? Because there's a light at the end of the tunnel. But if you're not mentally prepared to what it takes and what you need to do, then you're not going to do it, right? And so it's the most important for anybody, for anyone who wants to do anything that's going to create like a big impact in their life.
Absolutely. And as a reminder for everyone, I know people get fixated on those numbers, like you said, right? And I always try to tell everyone, listen, you can have a video that gets 13 million views, and the next day you have a video with 1,300 views, which is still a lot, but it might not be what you're used to. But guess what? All you need is the right people to see it. I've gotten offers and opportunities on videos that I thought were horrible, disgusting. I thought I looked ugly. I thought I used the wrong words. I thought that, when I was speaking, it was just too wordy and this and that. And people would reach out and want to put those videos in their, news article or want an interview with me for those videos. And I'm like, oh my God, that's the video. Can I show you guys a different video that's a lot better? And they're like, no, we love what you said in this. We love the theme. We love that. And it's like, wow, what a great reminder that if you're providing the value, putting yourself out there, the opportunities will come, and those numbers do not matter. It's just the one person sees it and they can give you another opportunity, or one person hears what you're saying and it helps them. That really is enough when it comes to content and value and information that you put out.
And I love that you said that, because I think as a culture, we're addicted to that like button, right? And that heart button. And all of that shit does not matter unless you don't have a plan of how to use that engagement and those likes and those followers to put money in your bank account, right? Because at the end of the day, likes are great, follows are great, all that is great because it's building your brand. But if you don't know how to monetize it, right? Because it could be 100 views on your video, and it's like the 100 people that you want to see your videos, because those are the people who are buying from you. Those are the people who are your customers. Those are the people that are helping you with opportunities. I don't care if like 2 million people see my video, because like 99.999% of those people will never buy from me. They're never going to give me an opportunity. It's that like 0.001% from that whole massive viewing, if you got like a crazy viral video, that really matter. And it's as long as you have a plan behind it. 100 views, great. 50 views, great. As long as those 50 views are of your exact target market and from people that that can actually flourish into business and opportunities. Because at the end of the day, that's what it's for, right? I have clients who have millions and millions of views, not just you, Limor, but other people.
There's other people.
Yeah, there's other people.
Millions and millions of views. Ivan, are you sure?
But I've asked them, what was the biggest mistake that you think you've made in this journey? And it was not learning to monetizing my business earlier, because I only cared about the likes and only cared about the comments. And then once, hey, like fucking TikTok and Instagram, they change their algorithms all the time. When they see that thing go down, oh my God, nobody likes me anymore. I'm depressed. Like, that's the culture that we live in. But even if they go down and you're like, wait, I don't care if they go down, because hey, I have a product that is still selling. I have a service that is still selling. I'm monetizing all those views and business is still doing great. Who cares about the views, right? Not all your views are going to be killer viral views. And it's, life just doesn't work that way, boo. Right?
You know what one of my girlfriends said the other day? I was telling her about a production company that reached out to me about a video. And I said to her, I'm so upset because I'm so ugly in the video. And she said to me, Limor, the bank doesn't care if you're ugly. Ivan, when she said that, I was like, wait, this is a sign from God that I need to shut up and be thankful that the opportunity.
Too, but I feel like I want to get that painted somewhere and put it somewhere in my office, right? Because it's true. The bank doesn't care.
The bank doesn't care if you're ugly.
It is full opportunity for everybody. It doesn't matter if you're 1 or 10.
It's so good. And that was from Cameron Monet, who's been on the show before. I have the recording. I'm going to send it to you, Ivan, because it was a voice note. I was dying. It's so good. But, I want to ask, what do you think is the biggest missed opportunity when it comes to monetization that you see from professionals?
The biggest missed opportunity that I see from professionals when it comes to social media is not having like a set marketing plan that they follow daily, weekly, monthly, and then a way to track it. Because I'll give you a couple examples, right? Like I have friends that are in different businesses, clothing, apparel, services like law or real estate. And they're really good at creating content on the fly, right? Oh, I feel inspired. I think I'm going to do a video today. Great. So they put a video, they put it on social media, and great. There's some engagement, there's some likes, there's some comments. And then maybe another week will pass by, maybe 2, because it's a nice summer day and they don't want to do any videos. And then they create another video, right? And there's no set actual marketing plan that says, okay, on Mondays, I'm going to post 1 video or 2 videos of this. On Tuesdays, I'm going to write a blog. Actually, it's going to be a video blog. On Wednesdays, I'm going to post on only vertical. So I'm going to do TikTok, I'm going to do Reels, and I'm going to do even YouTube Shorts, right? And then keeping track of this weekly and monthly and see what's happening here, right? What's my engagement? And then also from the engagement, because there's ways of doing this, guys, with like funnels and all that. Where is the business coming from all this, right? From YouTube, from Facebook, from Instagram, because And that takes putting together a business plan. That takes work, right? I think it's daunting to a lot of people, and they're like, yeah, I'll just kind of do it on the fly, or, oh, I don't know where it comes from. I just know that it works.
Mm,
That's scary, right? Because if my
yes.
doctor said, well, I'm about to have heart surgery. Well, I don't know how to do it, but I just know it'll work. I'm like, no, screw it. I'm not going with you. I want someone, right? Could you imagine?
Right?
I
Yeah.
want someone who's like a little, like who can like literally see it, the target from a mile away. Like, I know how to get from here to there. This is what it's going to take, right? This is the plan. Because then that way, oh shit, these videos aren't working. I got to
Mm,
change it up, right? It's been 2 months of this. No one watches this video, but everybody watches this video. Shit, let me double down more on this video because it's more engaging. It's more of like me on the fly instead of me overly produced, right? It just depends
right.
on what your viewership, like what they actually like you in, right? Is it more highly produced, more on the fly, more of like Q&A, more podcast style? And you're not going to know that unless you track it. And that way, this shit's working, this shit's not, let's drop it. Because so many people waste their time. Like, I'm on a rant, but
I love it.
there's so many people that I know, love, and adore and appreciate who are in, I'm going to say real estate because, I mean,
Mhm.
that's my world, right? Who take so much time creating content, and they take so much time and money putting things together that are, that get the likes and the comments, but the sales aren't getting generated, right? They're
Mhm.
not making real estate sales. And at the end of the day, a real estate agent without a real estate sale is a homeless real estate agent, right? We don't want that, right? You can't be selling houses and you don't have one yourself. Come on, guys, right?
Mm, mm.
So it's having a plan, man. It's like everything's got to have a plan, a foundation, and then having someone who keeps you accountable, right? Because like Limor, you have your set podcast, right? Like, this is
Yeah.
when I'm doing it. This is when it goes out. This is when I'm doing this video. Like, there's got to be a plan to the mayhem, or if not, it's just not going to work.
Yeah, no, 100%. There are, uh, you know, content creators who do exactly what you said. They do things on the fly and they don't have a plan and they might have really good numbers. And then they'll do a sponsorship and all of the content is like, we haven't seen you for 3 weeks and now you're selling us green juice. Like, what is happening, right? You kind of lose the trust that you've built with your community also when you're not being consistent and giving them the content that they expect from you. So I think that's true. You have to always have a plan, and that plan could be that you're not that consistent. Honestly, if you let your audience know your schedule, even better. They can come back to you whenever it is. And maybe you're not a TikTok person. Maybe you're more of a YouTube person with one video a week, and that's what works.
And that's the cool thing about this. Like, it, everything works, right? Everything works
Mm,
for different people, different strokes for different folks. You just got to figure out what works for you. Where do you see the results, right? I know for myself, I know what gets the results, right?
right.
And could I do more? Yeah, probably. But then I'd have to give up doing other things on other parts of my business that are not social that would have a dire consequence in my business, right? So you just got to
Mm,
figure out what works for you. And at the end of the day, it's social media and marketing, all that's so important. But this is just one facet of many facets that are needed in order to keep that wheel of business going, right? In order to bring that money, honey, right? You got to have these different things that are spinning at different times and not just focus on one, right? Because hey, with the whole TikTok thing situation going on right now, what if
mm.
TikTok is like your biggest platform? That's where you were getting all your sales. And what happens if you wake up tomorrow and it's gone?
But before your course, which is an amazing course, you had your book, Brand with Purpose, right? This was released. Oh, there we go. Ivan, by the way, I was trying to check before this. Hello, where's my autograph? My book. Oh, did I order this online? You didn't gift this to me. I think I bought this.
You did well. I'm gonna
I
have to
bought
autograph.
this. I bought. Never mind. That's why there's no autograph. You have to pay extra for the autograph.
You get it for free. You get it all for free.
I better get it for free because this, first of all, everyone I have on here has the nicest, prettiest books. Like, this on your shelf is freaking beautiful. And yes, I do have an orange hue because once the art fell off the back on the wall. I'm like, oh, I kind of look a little dreary. Like I look a little bit dead, and I had to fix the saturation. So everything's orange, but the book is really gorgeous. It's also like pink and blue. So with this book, by the way, also I even had a really amazing launch party for this book where he sang for us because, like you said, you were a child entertainer, and I don't want to say entertainer. You were a musician, right? You were a singer.
Singer, yeah.
Oh, singer, so cute, like a little Desi Arnaz. Back to your book. You talk a lot about networking in this book and in your course. But I remember the first time you delved into networking in a formal way that I was interested in was in the book. And the thing about me, and of course, we met in a networking group, like I said before, the thing for me is networking for me kind of feels like the gym. I never want to go. I never want to go. But while I'm there and when I get back, I'm so happy I went. It's really true. It really, really is true. And you know me. I hate getting up, getting dressed, whatever, whatever. I mean, you'd never know if you like met me out. You'd never know that I hate doing all these things that I do. But it's really hard to kind of hype yourself up to go networking. Excuse me, especially when you don't have a buddy to go with, right? I mean, all of these events, you kind of, some things pop up last minute, but they're great events that you hear about and you want to go. And you talk a lot about networking in this book, and I know that you are a master networker. So tell us some, tips on how to network and build your community through networking and being resourceful, because you've been resourceful since you were a kid. So you've just been a pro at this. I think it comes naturally for you. But for those that it doesn't, what are some tips for us to, get more comfortable with it and see some success from it?
Yeah, that's a good question. Look, I think in every aspect of every business, networking, relationships, it's all about relationships, right? When you think about like stars in Hollywood and musicians who make it, and I've heard this before many times, why did they make it? They knew the right person, right? They had the right relationships, right? They were at the right place at the right time. And so with networking, I think it's very daunting for a lot of people, especially if you're, let's say, an introvert, right? You're like, I don't like to go. Like people think of networking as I'm going to an event, I'm having a name tag, I'm gonna bring like my business cards, and I'm gonna walk up to people that I don't know, and I'm gonna talk to them and probably keep talking to them, even though if I have like nothing in common with them, and give them a card and then send them an email the next day that says, hey, nice meeting you, blah, 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 right? Because I think that's like a big misconception of what networking is. And that is, I guess, networking, one networking activity, but you've got to find what's good for you. And here's the thing, like as much as I'm an extrovert, I'm an introverted extrovert, right?
Yes.
I've always been like that. I really push myself. And for my friends who are introverted, I've told them if going to a group is not your thing, one-on-ones with people are like the best, right? Because sometimes you go to these big groups of events and it's like, there's so many people and it's like, shit, there's like 500 people here. I don't want to talk to most of these people. I don't know any of them. Who's the good one? Who's not? Screw that, right? Having these like one-on-ones, I think is like, that's a good starting point. Like, okay, who do I really want to get to know? And not just for the business, but like the person, right? It's the front of the card and the back of the card. And I think a big mistake that I made was going after like super successful people who I probably had nothing in common with, but I wanted their business, right? I was like, well, I just want their business, right? It became very selfish. And that shit never worked because I was sitting at a coffee or at a lunch or at a dinner and thinking, when is this shit going to be over? This person is ruthless. This person has nothing in common with me. Let me go talk to people like Limor who I can connect with, who I can be friends with. And hopefully one day we're going to do business, not because I'm her friend, because I want her business, but because I genuinely want to hang out with her, because I genuinely care for her, because I genuinely want to know more about her and learn more about her. And with networking, I think that's the key is, there's groups, right? And yeah, finding your community, it could be a religious thing, it could be a sports kind of, if you're a soccer fan, there's like groups out there of people who love soccer, and there's people of all career paths, all different culture bases, like, and finding your thing, right? Because like we had improvisers, and like nothing bad about provisors. It's been great for my business for the last 8 years. I met some great people, but it never was really my thing. It never was. And I found another group, it's called EO. I'm obsessed because these people are crazy, just like me. These people are risk takers, just like me. These people are people who live their days to the fullest, who travel, who like to try new things, who like to try new food. I'm like, oh my God, these are the psychos that need to be in my life because they're just like me. And when I'm with them, I'm not with them because I want their business. I'm with them because I enjoy spending time with them. And as I get older, I'm learning from all of them, right? Like I'm learning so many different things. And when it comes to networking, is figuring out, okay, who do I want to hang out with that can possibly not just feed me business one day, but feed me ideas, feed me opportunities, feed me different ways of seeing the world, different perspectives. I have friends who may never give me business, right? Circle of groups that I belong to, but they give me a different perspective where they fill me up spiritually, right? Or they fill me up emotionally, right? Because it's not just all about money, people. Like that does not this. Like you have to have that pie chart, like family, spirituality, yes, finances, purpose. Like there's all these little things that people in different groups can feed you that. And so just networking, it could be with one person, coffees. I actually this is my new dining table. I'm going to start having like dinners for like 8 people, which you're invited, of course.
Of course.
I'm going to invite like 8 people every 2-3 weeks, different backgrounds, different businesses, and just have a good time and talk. And I'm not going to, here's my business card. Like life doesn't work like that anyway, because then if you're coming in just wanting business from people, I'm sorry, but it's not going to work for you. Sorry.
No, that's exactly right. Because you want to, well, I'll tell you something. Professionals like us want to give business and want to give money to people we know and trust. So if I know someone is in the market for a house in the areas you're familiar with, I'm automatically going to think of you, right? Because I know you. I'm not looking through a directory from a networking group that I know to look for this person or whatever, right? Because I'm also not going to refer people I don't know to people who are coming to me for a referral, right? So I love those networking groups where you're making friends, you're introducing yourself to mentors, right? Because networking is also about that too. Like you said, you're meeting mentors, friends, people you can learn from, all of that. And people are looking to you to see if they can learn from you too. And guess what? When you're an adult, it's really hard to make friends. Okay. So these networking groups, some of us, you outgrow your friends or you're all in different industries now. And so these are where you're going to find some lifetime friends too. And the idea of the 8-person dinners, Ivan, please remind me, and I already wrote it down. I need to talk to you about this networking group that I've been trying to create, that I just realized when you talked about your dinner, you are the perfect person to partner with this for. You are it. You're going to die when I tell you.
I'm all ears.
You're going to die. You're going to die. So tell me this. First of all, I want to know what your biggest sale was. I want to know what your first sale was. And I also want to know, through networking, what is the craziest story you have about a networking meeting or opportunity that came to you that turned into something that you never thought it would?
Okay. So for your first question, my biggest sale was 19 million on Copa de Oro. It's in Bel Air.
Bel Air, yeah.
It was through networking. That was through a developer I had met at it was like some movie premiere. He was sitting by himself and I was there by myself, and I literally just sat down next to him and we became friends. And 6 years later, right? It didn't happen that week, that month. 6 years later, he'd been following me on social media and he said, "Hey, I have a house that I need your help with." So talk about networking, right? That was
Wow.
19. My first sale was in Whittier for $249,000. This was 14 years ago. And then I would say my crazy networking story, because with networking, it's like, I've heard this before, there's a ton of people who go out networking, but then kind of like there's the people that kind of float to the top, right? Like the opportunity kind of like arise and kind of go to the top. So one of my, I'd say, let's see, because I have a couple of crazy networking stories where I got some really great opportunities. I mean, my TED Talk. I mean, I think that's one.
Your TED
So
Talk. Wait, I want to get to your TED Talk, but I'm going to then ask you this. If you don't know a specific story other than that, because the TED Talk is a whole thing in and of itself, and I'm so proud of you for that.
Yeah, so we can talk. Okay, so that one, we'll talk about that in a second, but that came through like networking thing.
Ivan is sitting here telling us he has hundreds of networking stories. Obviously, you do. You're master networker, right? I want to know how you got Princess Sarah Culberson to write the foreword for your book, because I know that was some networking.
That was some crazy networking. So she goes to Soho House. I actually, one of my friends, Iman, which actually you guys should know each other. She's an entertainment lawyer.
I know her because I'm pretty sure that she's best friends or close friends with my friend Jen Allen. Do you know Jen Allen?
Yeah. Of course you guys know each other. Yeah, so you know her. She's a badass. And she's a badass networker. She got me into Soho House. And she's the one who said, "You need to meet Sarah." And we had dinner at Soho. We started talking. Literally, it was like her and I were like this for like 45 minutes, like sharing each other's stories. And when I was finishing my book, because this was I was about to finish the book, I asked her, I said, "Look, I know we don't know each other for very long, like what, 45 minutes. But could you write the foreword to my book?"
Okay, Ivan, this is why I love you.
And she was like, "Who else would write it? Duh, of course I would." Right?
Dead.
Networking and being at the right place at the right time. And also, again, going back to mental mindset, just having the courage. Because I was going like back and forth, like in my head, like, "Tell her to write the forward to your book." And then and then the other side, "Don't do it. She's gonna say no." Like I was really back and forth between the demon and the angel in my head. I was like, "I'm just gonna do it. What could she say? She could say no." And she did it. Most of the time, it's usually like people will do it out of guilt, right? Like, yeah, I'll do it.
Ivan, I'm so proud of you, of all the things that I have so much pride over you for. That's amazing. That is amazing. And our first dinner at your dining table is going to be with Iman and Jen Allen.
Yeah.
Because now that I know.
Because I definitely want her to. We'll talk about this moment right now.
I love this. I love this. So now tell us about your TED Talk, because like I said before, Ivan, number one realtor everywhere in LA. Okay. And then you have the course, you have the book, you have the online presence, you did a TED Talk. I think you're the only person I actually know IRL in real life who's done a TED Talk.
So the TED Talk, again, it goes back to like the networking part. So I got the TED Talk through, so let me go back. The TED Talks were I always called them my indirect life coaches, because whenever I had a problem, if it was either business or personal, or I was in not feeling my greatest, I would go to TED and look up the subject. And I always found some like great tips or some like spiritual or emotional help that I needed at that moment. And so for me, having the opportunity to do a TED Talk was like, it's been on my vision wall like forever. And so when I wrote the book, And it was out in every store, Target, Walmart, Barnes and Noble, everywhere. Like that was already like, to me, that surpassed any of the dreams that I ever had. And so after that happened, I had a friend say, wouldn't it be cool if you had a TED Talk? I'm like, oh my God, that would
Wow.
be cool. I'm like, but how would that, like, how do you do that? How would that work? Blah, blah, blah. And so long story short, it was through one of my contacts from LA Confidential who said, hey, there's this opportunity for a TED Talk. And I know the person who's putting it together. Right.
Mm-mm.
And so again, that came through someone that I had met years ago who was following me on Facebook. It still works
Yep.
for dinosaurs. And she reached out to her friend and she goes, guess what she says? I've heard of him. I've heard of this book. And so after that happened, boom, I got the interview. I submitted what I wanted to talk about and it was done. And let me just say
Wow.
that that was one of the most, I think, I'm beyond proud of that moment because it wasn't just for me, it was something I wanted to share with the world and hopefully inspire other people. And hopefully there's a little kid out there like
Mm-hmm.
me. I felt in despair that I didn't have, that I needed guidance, that hopefully one day he goes on TED and searches exactly what he's trying to find and he finds my video and he gets inspired. Like that to me, that's why I did it, right? It's giving it back to someone else, right? And so, I mean, that was such an incredible experience for me. And let me just say, just so you guys all know, TED Talks are no joke because getting the TED Talk is not easy. I can't say it's easy, but the preparation for it, hardest thing I've ever done. Hardest thing I've ever done. I had to write maybe 5 or 6 talks, 18 minutes each. And then after you finalize your talk, you're working with a coach, guys, you have to memorize every single sentence, word for word of your TED Talk. And then once you learn it, once you memorize it, which takes weeks, obviously, then you have to learn the gestures, you have to learn the delivery, you have to make it sound as if you're just throwing it off the cuff, right? Like you're just
Wow.
being natural and being an actor and just putting it out there. Every TED Talk is pretty much almost to the word. So just know the amount of work that goes into it. And I'm one who I'm like, I forgot what I had for breakfast today. I'm like, what did
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea. To try to memorize an entire TED Talk and deliver it as if you were just doing it off memory, like just kind of like, oh, these are just thought bubbles that came and I want to present these thought bubbles to you. No, it's a lot of work, a whole shitload of work.
Oh my God. How do you do all of this and still you're at the top of your game when it comes to real estate, your main bread and butter?
I'm a strong believer that there's enough time for everything
Wow.
as long as you know how to prioritize and as
Mm.
long as you know how to delegate and as long as you know how to, I think the biggest word here is sacrifice. Because I have given up a lot of my personal time, which I'm not very proud of,
Mm-hmm.
with family and friends so that I could have those extra 2-3 hours a day for a TED training, or so that I could have those extra 3 hours a day for writing, let's say, my second book, Brand with Courage, right?
Oh, I
Yeah, you heard it here first. Um,
wow.
there's a lot of things that take a lot of sacrifice. And I think when you really want something, you'll find the time. You will find the time that it requires in order for you to do it. And honestly, it's like I tell people it's like a rubber band, right? Like when you start adding more things, like it's stretching the rubber band. It'll never break, right? But you keep stretching it. And there's enough time for everything as long as you're willing to put in the sacrifice, as long as you're putting in the I mean, I was waking up, no joke, 3:45 a.m. every day for the last 3 months before my TED Talk. And I was working until like 8 o'clock at night. So it was a sacrifice. It was a lot of work, but I would not give back any of that time for that experience because that experience, I think, not just changed my mindset about myself of not having a good memory, but it gave me the courage to know that I can really connect with people on a deeper level by sharing my story. And it really helped me become a better public speaker, because I'm good at public speaking and I love it, but there is an art to it. There is technique, just like everything else, right? The greatest singer in the world, but if you don't have a good vocal coach, if you don't have good technique, if you don't know how to deliver a song, you're not going to have the biggest impact you want. And that's what that experience taught me.
Wow, you make it all look so easy. And I have vivid memories of seeing your stories, your Instagram stories, and like you would be at the gym 5 a.m. I'm like, what the, Ivan, what are you doing? I'm literally still in bed. And you're like, oh, I'm done with my workout. That was 2 hours ago. I'm like, what the fuck
Which is why
happening
I'm
here?
still single.
No. Okay, so
Time.
hang on. So let's talk about that, because on your Instagram stories, I also do see you on vacations with this, that, or the next person. And then the next one, you're by yourself and maybe you're networking and that's all you're doing. But I see you with some people here and there, but you are right now single. So tell us about that.
Yes. So at the moment I am single and looking. Look, in the last couple of years, so you know this, I decided to stop drinking almost 4 years ago.
Mhm.
I was using it to numb myself for certain things, certain like childhood trauma that I hadn't dealt with, emotional trauma from past relationships. And to me, like the easy way out of not having these feelings or memories was alcohol. So I just go out with my friends, drink, middle of the day, drink, whatever. Like whatever it took to numb those feelings, I would do. And so the last couple of years, it was like I was getting to really know myself again. And I needed to be single. I could not go on this journey with someone else, because I had done that before with other partners to try to like fix my problems just by having them around, or trying to mask what I really felt. And obviously it didn't work. I couldn't have a successful relationship more than I've had 3, 5-year, 2-year, and 1 year.
Wow.
Right. And it literally went like that. So not a great record, but it's just that I really didn't know myself towards the end. And the last couple of years was really getting to know myself all over again. Like, what is it that I really want? Because if I wanted a partner right now, I could have a partner right now. I could totally have a partner right now, but I know my worth. I know my value. I know what I value in someone else. And at the end of the day, a pretty body, a beautiful face, all that shit will melt, right? We will disappear. We will turn into mush. But what doesn't is someone's heart, right? Someone's intention, someone's mind, right? Someone's belief system around family and spirituality. Like those are the things that now in my late 30s are important to me, because that will live on once all the other superficial shit doesn't. And it's been hard for me to find that. We live in a town where it's the glitz, the glamour, who's prettier, who's hotter, who's richer, who has a better car, who lives in the hills, who lives in the flats, right? And sometimes we think that that's enough, that will carry us through. And trust me, yeah, it will carry you through for a couple of months or maybe a couple of years, but then you'll reach that breaking point when you say, this wasn't enough. The Gucci shoes and the purses and all that, it worked for a couple of years, but not anymore. Like, I'm not in love with the person I'm with. And most importantly, I'm not in love with myself anymore. And then you're in a danger zone. And so right now in my life is trying to find a partner, right? Someone that I can see a future with, not like eye to eye, but like looking towards a certain location together, helping one another like build that life that we want. And look, it's a very specific person. And until I find that person, I will stay single, because I don't want to be in a relationship to be in a relationship because, the holidays are lonely, or because, I'm being told that I'm getting older and then I need to maybe have kids, or yeah, you're single. Maybe you can just have a kid on your own, because maybe you won't find that someone, and maybe you're going to need someone so that you're not lonely. Right. I hear that word a lot.
Yeah.
What if you end up lonely? And I tell people, I'm not lonely, right? There's nothing about me that feels lonely. I am good with myself. I'm good with where I'm going. And I'm not going to settle for someone just because someone or society or our culture is telling me that I need to. And so, it's I may be reaching for the stars, and I say this with complete humility, but I feel like I deserve it.
Ivan, you are the total package and more. You can find Ivan all over social media, Ivan Estrada Properties. I will link your course, your podcast. I will link the book, and I will link, well, I can't link to your car wash ads, but if you go to my Instagram, you'll see photos of Ivan. I will be linking all of his things in the description below. Ivan, anything else? What else are you launching? So you're going to have a second book, Brand with Courage.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
I
Just gonna get
love it.
started, so yeah, it's coming. It's coming
I
in. Coming out next year.
I love it. I love it. Anything else before we get off the pod?
I mean, I feel like I'm done with my coffee, so I think that's all I got.
Ivan, I love you. You are one of the
Love you, love
best
you.
people. Thank you so much, Ivan. I love you. Thank you.
Love you. Bye.
Bye.
This podcast is for entertainment purposes only. The opinions expressed on this podcast are not legal advice that can be relied on. They are based solely on the limited information provided. These opinions do not create any attorney-client relationship. Those seeking legal advice should contact an attorney in the appropriate jurisdiction and practice area.